Hello. This is our first chapter of the book, and I hope you're enjoying it. I had a little bit of trouble trying to figure out how to set this up for a timer because I'm only allowed to record 10 minutes at a time. So I'll try to read best I can. I'm going to get a headset because I think that I speak too low for this microphone on the computer. But I've wasted 30 seconds, so let's begin. The name of the book is Fly By Night. A is for arson. It was often said that the only divine flame could persuade anything to burn in Chao. Many joked that the villagers cooked their dinners over marsh lights. Chao could be found by straying as far as possible from anywhere comfortable or significant and following the smell of damp. The village had long since surrendered to a seeping, creeping rot. The buildings rotted from the bottom upward. The trees rotted from the inside out. The carrots and turnips rotted from the outside in and were pale and pulpy when they were dug out. Around and through the village, water seeped down the breakneck hillside in 1,000 winding streamlets. They hissed and gleamed through the dark miles of pine forest above the village, chafing white rocks and learning a strange milkiness. Choff itself was more of a tumble than a town. The houses scattered down the incline as if it stranded there from a violent flood. By day, the villagers fought a losing battle against the damp. By night, they slept and dreamed sodden, unimaginative dreams. On this particular night, their dreams were a little ruffled by the unusual excitement of the day, but already the water that seeped into every soul was smoothing in their minds to placidity, like a duck's bill glossing in the plumage. One mind, however, was wakeful and nursing the black flame of rebellion. At midnight, the owners of that mind could be found hiding in the local magistrate's dovecote. The dovecote was a large, and from the outside its conical roof bore a remarkable resemblance to a castle turret. At the moment, the dovecote was remarkably free of doves, and remarkably full of 12-year-old girl and an oversized goose. Maska wore a wide-eyed look for one who listened in very carefully, and she chewed gently at the stem of her unlit pipe as she did so, feeling the splinters working their way up between her teeth. Her attention was painfully divided between the sound of the approaching voices and the pear-shaped silhouette of a single dove against one of the little arched doorways above her. Trying to balance her weight on the slender perch poles and agitated goose under one arm, Maska was already regretting her choice of a hiding place. Each time a bird appeared at one of the openings, Sarakern hissed. I think that's the goose, Sarakern. If the doves seemed to be hissing, this might make someone curious enough to investigate and discover Maska hiding there at midnight with someone else's goose. Maska had excellent reasons for not wanting to be dragged back to face her Uncle Westerly and Aunt Bryony. She had plans of her own, and none of them involved the sorts of punishments that would be waiting for her if she was caught on this night of all nights. We are much boldened to you, sir. If you had not by chance warned us, the fellow might have been fleecing our gullible housewives a month hence. It was the magistrate's voice. Maska froze. It was not entirely a matter of chance. A young man was speaking, his voice gentle and reassuring, like warm milk. When I changed horses at Swiss, someone mentioned that a man named Eponymous Klent has been staying here for last week. I knew him well by reputation as a villain and a swindler, and your village was only a little out of my way. Well, you must delay your journey a little longer, I fear. You shall stay the night, and let me thank you for the broth, beef, and brandy. A snap of snuff-box opened. Do you indulge? When it is offered so hospitably, yes. The dove stared. It could be something crouching among the tangle of perches, something big, something dark, something breathing, something that have a long, low hiss, like skates across ice. Maska kicked out, and the toe of her boot caught the dove just beneath the snow-white plum of her chest, causing it to tumble backwards into flight. Is something amiss? No, just thought for a moment. Maska held her breath. I thought I could smell smoke. Ah, the snuff does have a touch of brimstone in it. So, the younger man sniffed once, twice, to clear his nose, and then spoke again in a less nasal tone. So, you will no doubt keep Mr. Klent in the stocks for a day or two, and have taken to the pincaster for further punishment. I believe we must. Chao has a magistrate, but lacks a gibbet. The voices faded, and the door clicked to. After a time, the faint orange ache of candlelight in the nearest window dulled and died. The roof of the dovecote deftly rose, and two sets of eyes peered out over the gap. One pair of eyes were coal beads set between two bulging bully brow and a beak of the color pumpkin peel. The other pair were human, and as hot and black as pepper. Mosca's eyes had earned her countless beatings and years of suspicion. For one thing, they had a way of looking venomous even when she held her pointed tongue. For another thing, her eyes wielded a power that was beyond everything else in Chao except the magistrate. She could read. Everybody knew books were dangerous. Read the wrong book, it was said, and the words would crawl around your brain on black legs and drove you mild and wicked and mad. It did not help that she was the daughter of Quelia Mai, who had come from Chao, from the Madeleine, and the rumors of banishment, bringing city thoughts crackling in cleverness and dozens of dark-bound, dangerous books. Mosca might as well have been the local witch in miniature. After her father's death, Mosca's eyes had at least earned her a roof over her head. Her uncle, the older brother of her dead mother, was glad to have someone to take care of the accounts and letters. His niece was useful but not trusted, and every night he locked her in the mill with the account book to keep her out of trouble. This evening he turned the key upon her as usual, without knowing that he was doing so for the very last time. He was now snoring like an accordion amid sweet dreams, that would be sweet dreams, of grist and fine grain, with no inkling that his niece was loose yet again and embarked upon a desperate mission. Mosca wrinked her pointed nose in a sniff. There was a faint hint of smoke in the night air. Her time was running out. A week before, a man named Epimenes Clint had arrived in Chao and talked his way into every heart and hearth. He had bewitched the entire village with an urban twinkle. That afternoon, however, Chao had fallen out of love with him, and just as quickly and completely. Word had spread that a visitor to the magistrate's house had exposed Clint as a notorious trickster and cheat. Dusk had seen him shackled in the stocks and almost friendless. Almost, but not quite. Since the burning of her father's books, Mosca had been starved for words. She had substituted this on a date and workday terms, snub and flavorless as potatoes. I think potatoes have flavor. Clint had brought phrases of vivid and strange as spices as he smiled and he spoke, as if tasting them. His way with words had won him an unlikely rescuer. The magistrate's house had originally been built on a raised lump of land, with two deep cracks cut around each side, providing a channel for water. This had been all very well until the water had enjoyed one of its wild nights, in which it pulled the hillside into a new shape and threw boulders like dice. In the morning, the magistrate had found a hill of white silt and rubble piled up against the back of his house, and the sweet spring sunlight gleaming upon the streamlets as they poured across the roof and dripped in like diamonds from his thatch. In an attempt to snatch the magistrate's vegetable garden from the domain of the ducks, a local carpenter had constructed a simple shut-off, a long pole which seesawed on a central strut that had a bucket on one end to scoop up the water. The base stood on four wheels so that it could be moved around the garden. Mosca slipped to a window to the magistrate's house, slid a knife into the frame, and levered the window slightly ajar. Against the opposite wall of the darkened parlor hung the magistrate's ceremonial keys. Champing furiously on her pipe, she pushed her handkerchief into the bottom of the pail, then maneuvered a long arm into the shutoff and through the window. The machine proceeded in jolts as the wheels caught on roughly to the ground and the bucket swayed dangerously, now nearly rattling a pewter plate, now nearly chiming against a warming pane, a jolt forward and another jolt, and the ring of keys which nudged off his hook and fell into the bucket, its clang muffled by the handkerchief. Smart girl. The metal bucket gonged and gently against the window frame as Mosca drew it back, and a moment later the magistrate's keys were in her hands. The key to his chest of the silver plate, the key to the village's tithe box, and the key to the stocks. Well, that's page 17, and it's about 9 minutes and 30 seconds. So, this chapter doesn't end till page 27, which is 10 more pages. But I want to tell you guys, I love you guys. If you're watching this before you go to bed, sweet dreams. Have a good night. God bless you. I miss you. And I love you so very much. You're my angels. You're my hero.